Hey, my fellow diecast fanatics, welcome back. All right, so hope you're doing good. And today I've decided to pull out of the garage some third generation F bodies. And the reason I was kind of motivated to do that is I was going back through my prior videos and I noticed that second generation F body video I did a little while ago, I got a lot of views. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for that. And secondly, I'll take that as message sent. And we'll do another video of F bodies, but this time we're going to do the third generation F bodies, which were produced from 82 through 92. And so I got, well, let's see here. I got Matchbox, Hot Wheels, Green Light, and also auto rolled castings up here that we're going to take a look at. And they come from all different eras too. I've got everything up here from vintage all the way to current models. So let's say we dive right into this. So, as I said, you know, all new F bodies were introduced in 82 and for both the Firebird and the Camaro line. Now, you may notice that all the F bodies I have in my collection here are all Firebirds and Trans Ams. There are no Camaros. And that's the only Camaros I have from the second or third generation F body is in those Lock-Up series that I showed you guys in a prior video. I don't know what it is, but whenever I try to go searching for F-body Camaros in the third generation, I'm not finding good examples that really stand out to me that look nice. In particular, like the Matchbox version of the Camaro, it does not look good. It doesn't have the same shape and proportions as this Firebird. This Firebird was proportioned perfectly. But if you were to see the Matchbox Camaro version of this car, it just doesn't look right. And I don't know why they would do a thing like that. It's like, why didn't you guys just copy the tooling for the Firebird and give it a Camaro and, you know, front and rear? It made no sense to me. So that's one of the reasons why. I just can't seem to find any decent third generation F-body Camaros out there. But I'll keep looking. Maybe eventually I'll find some and I'll feature them at a future time. So let's take a look at the Matchbox Firebird first of all. They chose to depict a Firebird SE, as you can see it says on the chassis right there. And you can tell by the dual exhaust and the little offset hood bulge, this would be a V8 car. An SE would have had anything from the terrible Iron Duke 4-cylinder and to the 2.8 liter V6 as different engines in these cars. But the 5 liter V8 would have been definitely the better choice for a lot of reasons. So this is an early version of this casting that Matchbox did. You can tell because it has no graphics. It's a nice, plain, straightforward version. The later versions came like in black and they had like a Firebird graphic on the side. Interesting thing about the offset hood bulge, as I mentioned. So you may remember in the prior second generation F body in 80 and 81, they had the turbo V8 based on Pontiac's 301 4.9 liter engine. And one of the reasons they did that engine was because it was intended for this new body style. But they wanted to, of course, try it out because, I don't know if you knew this or not, General Motors was kind of notorious for treating their customers as beta testers. So they wanted to see if it was going to sell in the outgoing body first before they committed to putting it in their new car. And, you know, it did sell, the turbo. It just wasn't, a very potent engine. And also, unfortunately, the 301 was kind of fragile, so wasn't bode well for a modification like that. So GM decided not to offer the turbo in this new body style, but they already had tooled up the offset hood bulge hood. And it was too late to change it. So they just went with it. And of course, when Knight Rider came out, that just kind of solidified it for them. And by the way, I have Knight Rider third generation Firebirds, but I've already featured them in another video. All right, let's go on to another version of a Firebird SE. Hot Wheels did one too. This is a 1982 initial offering that they did. And I remember my brother had this car. It was really nice. I like how they, on this one, you'll notice this one does not have the offset hood bulge, but it does have a, Phoenix Rising. I found out that that's what that's actually called. Comically, the enthusiast people have known to call it a screaming chicken, but the proper term for that bird is Phoenix Rising. And one of my subscribers pointed it out to me, so thank you. So they did theirs with an open T-top. You see a little, I guess those are stereo speakers in the back there. This has got a plastic chassis. That was kind of a rare thing that Hot Wheels did. It was almost like they were testing the waters, though, because eventually all their cars came with plastic chassis. Now you notice on the Matchbox one, the little twin grills, they were actually cast in. On the Hot Wheels, it's just a little like decal tampo, something like that. And you should know that, yeah, these wear off in about 3 months. So that kind of sucks. And you see also, it's only riveted in the front. They're relying on the tail lamp panel incorporated into the chassis to clip into the rear there. It's got no spoiler in the back. So this is, you could almost say, it's got a single exhaust too. So you could almost say, oh, gee, this could be a 4-cylinder or even a 6-cylinder Firebird SC right here. But I think Hot Wheels was more or less trying to shoot for Trans Am status with the bird on the hood there. Now, let me show you a later version of this casting, which is right here. So let me tell you what Hot Wheels did. So back in 2011 and also 2012, they were doing reissues of some castings from the 1980s. And this is one of the ones they did. So they call it the Hot Ones because, as you can see, it's got the same gold Hot Ones wheels like that, proper vintage red one does. So it's actually the same body casting if you take a look. But there is one noteworthy change. Actually, 2 noteworthy changes. You'll see that now the tail lamps are cast in to the body. And it's riveted on the bottom. You get a proper metal chassis instead of a plastic one. And then on the front, they actually decided to tool in the little grills as opposed to making them be a graphic. And this one's definitely a Trans Am, although it's still missing the spoiler. But this hood bird is really nice. Very well done with the black and gold. And this is a gorgeous color. I like this. I think this color is called Firethorn Red. This was in the Pontiac lineup quite often. And also Cadillac had this color in some of their cars too. And they switched to a black interior, which it did a really nice contrast with the Firethorn Red. But yeah, this is a really nice example of like a vintage reissue done back in 2011. That's really sharp. Now, let's take a look at a 2014 example of a Hot Wheels Firebird. Now, this one's definitely a Trans Am. This one's got nice glass T-tops that they depicted on this. This one's got the spoiler. I think they have this as an 85 Trans Am. Because I remember in 85 they had kind of like the filled-in grills. And this two-tone scheme was actually quite popular back then. But you know what? For what is basically a modern casting of a vintage car, they did a pretty nice job with this. Usually, sometimes these efforts end up being pretty poor. But this one's pretty good. It's got plastic chassis. Like I said, they switched to that in later years. Yeah. Okay, 1984 it says. There we go. I was 1 year off. But yeah, the 85 was almost identical. Offset hood bolts there. Yeah, you'll notice the shape of this casting is a little more correct. These two here, they're well done, but you can tell there's something just a little bit off about them. This here is a much more authentic shape. Much more. Nice color, too. And oddly enough, my only non-red one. How'd that work out, right? All right, now we're going to move on to some of the more, I call them the top-tier die-casts. I have 2 of them. Let's go look at the green light. Now this one, is one of my personal favorites. This is a 1989, I believe, or maybe even 87. 87, 88, 89, all look basically the same. It's a Trans Am GTA. And the GTA came in kind of limited colors. The bright red is one of them. They also had black. There was a charcoal gray. They also did almost like a burgundy color. And it was also an all-white one. And one of the years that they did the all-white one, that was, believe it or not, a turbo GTA. It had basically the same engine as the Regal Grand National, a turbocharged and intercooled 3.8-liter V6. Let me tell you something. That little bugger was fast. It was probably even faster than the V8 ones because, think about it, the Regal Grand National was faster than the Corvette in 87. So imagine you put that same engine in a lighter weight F-body. You can imagine the performance advantage it's going to have. But the GTA, of course, had a Tuneport injected 350 built by Chevrolet in it. And Greenlight did a really nice job with this. I mean, everything's depicted beautifully. You got the GTA graphic. You got the kind of snowflake or star-shaped wheels, whatever you want to call those. It's got the kind of, I guess you call it the dot pattern tail lamp, which was really popular in the GTA. And then, yeah, oddly enough, I remember they used to squeeze these through one converter, and then it would branch off to a dual exhaust at the back, and they had a transverse muffler back there. Yeah, but the GTA, even with that restrictive exhaust, it was still a pretty respectable, good performer. And Greenlight, as per them being a kind of a top tier diecast maker, they always do a high quality job on everything. Even the little third brake light is just perfectly replicated right there. Little black door handles, they did everything just really nice. Yeah, sharp little car, sharp little Trans Am. And then this is an Auto World casting. This is the last one we'll take a look at. Okay, this one is I pretty much have a version of an F body from pretty much every spectrum of the generation, from the very beginning to the very end. So this would have been like about a 91 or a 92 Firebird Formula. So if you remember, a Formula has basically the same high performing drivetrain, but just doesn't have as many ground effects, wing spoilers, graphics, all that kind of stuff. And you'll notice that, look at this, even as late as 1991, 92, they were still using the offset hood bulge. And like I said, at this point, it was just for looks. There was nothing under the hood that required that. It was just straight for looks. In the later years, they had a different tail lamp design. You'll notice also that the little twin grills are shaped a little differently. They gave them kind of an exaggerated, like a V shape there. They started putting a little larger diameter rims on there. Also, if you look at the interior, you'll notice it's got the big puffy airbag wheel in there, as per 1990s. And this one was depicted with no T-tops. And then I think in these years they moved the third brake light up to this point here. That's what that's depicting right there. They moved it from the spoiler area up to the rear window. A little better visibility that way. This, oddly enough, does not have rubber tires. Most of your Auto World cars have rubber tires. This one does not. They're just plastic. But you still have a metal chassis. You see the Auto World symbol right there. Yeah, that's a really nicely done model. And one of my personal favorites. A long time ago, no, well, maybe not a long time ago, but a while back, my wife asked me if I ever wanted to have another vintage car, what I'd like to have. And I said, you know what? I said, I've had so many big, luxurious boat-type cars, I'm kind of over that. I think I'd like to have an F-body Firebird from the third generation. And I would choose one of the later ones because by this point in time, they had all the bugs worked out. They were a really solid platform, and they have pretty much like a modern drivetrain. You can enjoy driving it every day if you wanted to. But there you have it, guys. You like F-bodies? So do I. So I decided to show you all my third generation ones I got. Hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you again in the next video. Take care.